Hi, I'm Neketa Watson with Let's Talk Education on Lee Pitts Live on Wink CW6. Education continues and will always be a critical topic in our community. And sports is such a huge part of education and the high school experience. Athletics fosters engagement in school, and a lot of time it's the driving force that keeps many of our students in school and engaged. I think it is fitting that we have this discussion with a coach. I have here with me today Coach Karan Pettyjohn, who's in his first year, his first varsity season as head basketball coach. We're going to talk to Coach Pettyjohn, but before we do, I would like to reiterate the significance of sports in education. My desire is to help parents, students, coaches, both current and future coaches. So like I said before, sports keeps a lot of our students in school and engaged. In order to play sports, students must have at least a 2.0 GPA. And in Florida, to graduate and receive a high school diploma, students must have a 2.0 GPA as well. Students who play sports tend to have higher GPAs and better school attendance. Sports also creates a platform for students to receive college scholarships. So at this time, I would like to introduce Coach Pettyjohn. Coach Karan Pettyjohn is a varsity coach. He just happens to coach at Gateway High School. So Coach Pettyjohn, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your coaching background and what makes you unique.
Wow. My background started off as when my son was 3 years old, starting off at the YMCA. I was that tall dad in the background that they didn't have a coach, and they said, hey, you look like you know what you're doing. Do you want to help us out? So that's how my volunteering started as a coach. I did that for a few years, and then I got into the AAU circuit, which was a gift and a curse. And then middle school basketball, and then I started off as an assistant for varsity at a local school here in Lee County, and then this year is my first varsity head coach.
Okay, so in your own words, why is sports such a critical part of education?
Like you were saying earlier, it's very important because nowadays we're seeing no more student athletes, but more athlete students. Kids are getting the grades because they want to participate in the sports. That is their outlet. That's what they're using as stress relief. That's their little escape from reality. So for a coach like myself, I try to keep the importance on education for the long-term goals. And we see so many times that people, coaches, parents are talking to the kids about one aspect of life, which is sports, in the hopes of dreaming of making the NBA, NFL, MLB, but nobody ever talks about what happens when the ball stops. And then what is your goal then when you have the next 60, 50 years of your life to live?
Okay, awesome. All right, so for students who are listening, what should they do if they're interested in playing on the varsity level?
A lot of people don't understand the expectations of being a varsity sports athlete. I mean, granted, I do basketball, but I believe this is occurring for all sports in general. Is that one, you're not just an athlete, you're a community leader now. You're a role model to younger kids who may be in middle school or freshmen at the school. And the expectations of the way you carry yourself as a student athlete within the school, within administration is very high and important. Also, as a varsity basketball player, this is when the roles of, if your goal is to play college sports, you must now take it more serious than if you ever have, as far as the education, discipline, and the behavior.
Okay, let's focus on the grades and the GPA, because like you know, and I see as a high school principal, a lot of talent never makes it to the court or the football field. So how do we get students to realize the importance of grades and the connection to a GPA?
I think because the school system publicizes that you must have a 2.0 GPA in order to participate, that I feel like students are undervaluing themselves. But if they knew that the number one reason why kids don't go to college is because of grades, every time I deal with the college recruiting, that is by far the first question they ask me, grades and test scores. But There's approximately 540 basketball players in America, and there's about 19,000 roster spots in college. So you actually only have a 3.5% chance of making it to college. So talent-wise, everybody thinks they're a great player. But the way you beat out that percentage is to have the higher GPA that will put you forth. Because if you're equal talent with another player, obviously the coach is going to take the one with the higher GPA that they don't have to worry about getting grades while basketball or football or the sport they're participating in college is not there.
Okay. And what would you say to parents? How do parents support their students playing sports and keeping their academics?
Well, one is prioritizing education. In sports, just like anything is inevitable. You can twist an ankle, tear an ACL, and it can all be taken away from us. But then what do the kids fall back on? Because we didn't emphasize enough the power of education about betterment of yourself and things of those natures that parents just emphasize a lot of times on just the sports parts and make sure the training is there and their kid is the next LeBron James, so to speak, without thinking about, okay, like I said, what happens when the ball stops dribbling? What is your future goals? Or like when you get to your 40s, 50s, 60 years old, that education is going to need to kick in at some point.
Okay. And what would you say to people wanting to become a coach? Because that is a reason that a lot of people go into education is because of the hopes of becoming a coach. So what would you say to someone wanting to coach and hopefully coach on the varsity level one day?
I don't think we need more coaches. I think we need more mentors. There's a lot of kids out there, especially in the low income areas or minority kids who don't have the father figure at home. And I find myself as a coach filling that void all the time. I've taught students how to drive, I taught them how to shave, I taught them how to shake hands. I taught the importance of grades, how to make eye contact, how to speak up, how to time management and things of that. I think we focus too much on just coaching and not enough teaching young men how to become men and using that as a platform, your sport, using that as a platform that brings us together. So
true. Coach Pettyjohn, it has been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for being my first guest here on Let's Talk Education. I would like to end with one of my favorite quotes that's very fitting for this conversation. Hard work always beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Education with Neketa Watson. Stay tuned for more Lee Pitts Live.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.